Good morning, Stitchy friends. How are you all doing? Today is Tuesday, May 20th, 2025. My name is Andrew, and this is The Runner Stitcher, my channel where I talk primarily about cross stitch, but also a little bit about my running journey as well, and how the two kind of relate. This is Flosstube number 48. If you are new here, welcome. You are so welcome to the channel. I hope you enjoy what you see and hearing me talk about my two hobbies. If you're a returning subscriber, thank you so much for coming back. I really appreciate you spending a little bit of time with me today and sharing in this hobby with me. This channel would not be the same without you guys coming back, and that means the world to me. So thank you for that. I want to start today off with running, which will probably be the way these videos will go for the next few months, since I am doing the hashtag Whip Into Shape, which is a marathon stitching challenge where I have challenged everyone to stitch 10 stitches for every mile that I run in my marathon training. And if you want to join in the challenge, it is definitely not too late. You're more than welcome to join at any time. If you want to go back to my Flosstube, I believe it's number 45. I sort of talk a little bit more about the challenge and how you can access the spreadsheet with all the miles that I'll be running and how many stitches you're supposed to be doing on your whip. I'll also have that spreadsheet linked below here, but episode 45 or video 45 is where I sort of explain it all. So this week we finished week 2, and week 2 looked a lot like week 1. We had 271 stitches to do. I ran 27.1 miles, and happy to say I did complete both the running and the stitching this week. But part of that fun was that I had the New York Roadrunners Brooklyn Half Marathon on Saturday the 17th. And the race went really well. It was a nice day, except it was very humid, so it felt really hot. I think a lot of people started feeling it sort of towards the middle or the end of the race, where the humidity just set in and we were all getting really tired. I did end up walking a little bit in the last mile. I just felt my body sort of draining a bit, and I was like, it's not worth for me to push it right now. I was just having fun with this race, and so I did walk a little bit in the last mile and then sort of picked it up for the finish. But I was still happy with my time. I ran it in 1 hour 54 minutes and 18 seconds, which was about an 8-minute 44 mile per mile pace. That puts me, my finished time, or my finished place was 8,752nd out of a total of 28,450 runners. So there were a lot of people running this day, 28,000 runners. I was happy to come in the 8,700 range. I'm totally fine with that. So that was my big run for the weekend. And then if you noticed on the training, I was supposed to have a rest day on Sunday the 18th, but I ended up running 3 miles anyway. There's 2 reasons for that. One is that it was a beautiful day on Sunday. I wish the weather on Sunday had been for the race on Saturday, because Sunday was just beautiful. It was cool in the morning. The sun was out, but it wasn't hot. It just was lovely, and I couldn't pass up the chance to run in that weather. But also, my legs felt a little tight from the race the day before, and I just felt like I needed to do a little shakeout run. And so what I did was I just went slow and not worrying about my pace at all, but just to get my body sort of moving again. So that's why I added in the 3 miles on Sunday, if you were wondering. And then, so this week, we're here at Tuesday already, and I've already done some rearranging on the chart. So if you've been following along, you probably have seen that already. But and this will happen from time to time, where I will sort of switch days around based on, how I'm feeling or what I have going on, or based on the weather. And that's what it was this time. So we are supposed to get rain basically all day on Wednesday and Thursday. So instead of having to do my mileage and my runs in the rain, I kind of switched it around so that I could have those be my rest days and just work it so that I'll run during the sunshine. And so I ran both yesterday and today, and 3 miles yesterday, 6 miles today. Both days were absolutely beautiful. I think it was low 50s. The sun was shining. There was a nice breeze. Those are the days I absolutely love to run, because your body feels good while you're doing it, and it's just so beautiful outside. So really glad I switched those out. But the mileage for the week, it'll still total up correctly and everything. It's just some of the days have switched around a little bit. So if you were following along daily, you'll see those stitches marked in the chart now. Speaking of the Brooklyn Marathon, I did want to show you my medal that I got. So this is the Brooklyn Half 2025 medal. It's this really cool black sort of black metal here. And you've got the words Brooklyn sort of written around on the outside here. But yeah, this was the metal, and then the lanyard has Brooklyn on it as well, and the date. So that was really, really fun. I was happy to have received this medal and definitely earned it with the heat. And after the race, they always have, this race is so much fun because the finish ends in the baseball stadium in Coney Island. And they sort of set up some vendors there, and you can just kind of chill and hang out with people. But they also had hot dogs and beer. So I was able to have a hot dog and a beer at the end of the race, and that definitely felt really good. So that was my running for the week. Thank you so much for all of you who are joining in to Whip into Shape. It's been so much fun to hear people talk about it on Flosstube and to see all the different projects on Instagram. I'm really loving it. It's giving me motivation not only for my stitching with Fruits of Plenty, but also for my running. So really appreciate that. And as you know, Fruits of Plenty is the piece I picked for my Whip into Shape. And this is what it's going to look like in the end. I'm sure you've all seen this by now, but this is from Modern Folk Embroidery. It's just this beautiful piece. And I'll put a picture up here of where it was the last time you saw it. Actually, not the last time you saw it. This is the beginning of my Whip into Shape challenge. So that is the very, very beginning. Since the last time you saw it, I was able to add in 367 stitches. That puts me at 45.42%. And let me show you what I got to. Okay, so I think the last time we were working on things, I was working in this motif here, and as you can see, I finished everything in the center, so that worked out nicely. And then I decided to come up to the top again, and I worked on this second bird. So this bird was not complete the last time you saw it, so I was able to basically complete the whole bird. I need to finish the sort of branch that he's standing on, or she is standing on, and then I'll probably continue working down here with some of these leaves the next time around. But that was 367 stitches, and yeah, super happy with the progress already on this. It's going to be really fun to see where this gets to by the end of the challenge. This is stitched on a 32 count vintage smoky white from Zweigart, and I'm stitching it with 2 DMC, 2 strands over 2 linen threads. So yeah, that is Whip into Shape. All right, and I think that's all the running chat I've got for you. So now let's jump into my stitches for the week and the whips that I've got for you. So as you know, I have been doing Mania 500, where I have been spinning my project wheel and seeing what it lands on, and then stitching 500 stitches and moving to the next project to see how many I can get through for the month of May. And this time I've got, well, I have 1 whip and then 1, 2, 3, 4 Mania 500 spins. So it was a pretty good week. The total amount of stitches I added since the last time I saw you was 2,994. And the first whip I'm going to show you is Saga. So this is from Long Dog Samplers. Here is what this piece is going to look like. Another stunner. And since the last time I saw you, I was able to add in 544 stitches, and that puts me at 36.48% on this piece. I will pop in a quick video here of where I was when I started. All right, here's my starting point for Saga for the week. I think I'm going to work on this side of the arch here. I'll start it up here at the top and carry it all the way down, see if I can finish that side of the arch. And if I do, we'll jump into the middle picture here. So it should be exciting. I'm not sure how far we'll get with 500 stitches, but we'll see. All right, and here is where I got to. So as you can see, I basically finished this pillar here in the center and worked on this section here, which technically goes into the next arch, but I was just kind of feeling working in the pillar, and I wasn't really ready to jump into the story yet. I was thinking or hoping that I would be able to connect these two, so I probably will connect this the next time I work on it, but then I will jump back into this arch and fill it out. So that probably means that in the next week or two, you will have another Saga story to listen to, and that should be a lot of fun. But yeah, 544 stitches completed this section of the arch. And here is the full piece that I have. I am stitching this on a 36 count vintage country mocha. I'm stitching it with Silks for You PR207 and 1 strand over 2 linen threads. And I just love it. I really do love it. This was my leap day start. So the goal was to finish it by the next leap day, which is in 2028. And so far I'm on track for that. And I think if I can keep up this pace, I think I'll make it. And luckily it's a good pace where I'm making a lot of progress each week, but it's not so much of a focus that I don't get to work on anything else. And it's been a nice balance. And working on it just one time a week lets me enjoy the project until I sort of am ready to move on. And then I have a whole week of a break. So by the next time I pull it out, it's kind of brand new again. So that was Saga. And then I jumped into my Mania 500, spinning the wheels. So I think the last time I shared with you that the next piece I was going to work on was Strawberries Forever. And this is a piece by Told in the Garden. And let's see if I can find the picture. Here is the little picture that comes with the pattern. It is this beautiful strawberry scene. I love it so much, and it has been a while since I worked on it. So I'll put a picture in here of where I was before I started. And now you'll see where I got to. So I worked on this top scene up here, and basically I worked on this tree. I finished all of this. I started working on the house here, bringing in the roof, and then I started working on the letters. This will say strawberries. Now I'm about halfway through those letters. There's the top half of the letters that need completed, but there are 4 colors of red already in this section. 1, 2, 3, maybe just 3 colors of red in each letter. So those were a little fiddly, to say the least, but I do like the look of it. I like the variegation in the letter itself. So I think that will be really pretty once I finish the top half of that. And because I didn't really want to carry my thread since it's red and would show in this fabric, I had to start and stop each letter, basically. So it makes for a neat back, but that took a lot of time to get that completed. But if I didn't, you were going to see the red carry behind it. I also really enjoyed working on this tree here. There's only, I think, 3 shades of green in the tree, but it is just beautiful. I mean, the shading you can see there, it's really pretty. It was a lot of fun to stitch. I sort of used my method again with multiple needles going at the same time, which I know I owe you guys a video. I will try to get that filmed here in the next couple weeks or so. But I used that method and it kind of went smoothly. And then I worked on the house, which I didn't realize this when I started, but the roof of the house is actually a blend. So it's a blend of a gray color and a brown color. And that's what makes it look like it's almost variegated floss. But yeah, just a blend up there. So that was the 500 stitches. I really can't wait to pull this back out in June for Strawberry Moon Sal. I'll definitely be pulling this back out, and hopefully I'll get more of the house done here and continue working on the scene over here. I'd like to finish this whole scene before I sort of roll up and keep working on the top part, but yeah, that was a lot of fun. So that is Strawberries Forever from Told in the Garden. All right, then the next spin on my wheel was The Kiss by Mirabilia, and here is what this is going to look like eventually when I'm done. This is a large Mirabilia, and basically from here up to the top, it is just full coverage. So one of the bigger Mirabilias, I think, but I just absolutely love it, and it's so beautiful. So this was called for 500 stitches. I will put a picture here of where I was when I started it, and I had some choices with this one of where I wanted to work, and I decided, you know what, I just want to work on her. So what I did was I finished her face and her skin. So her skin is 1/1, just like his, and I was able to complete all of the fill-in her face here that I hadn't done before, and then I did all of the back stitching around her eyes, her eyelashes, her neck, and her lips, and that is what she looks like. When you pull this piece back, every time I'm just amazed. I love the detail and the shading of her neck, the shading of her face. I love his little pucker. You can see his lips sort of pucker there, giving her a kiss on her neck. But when you pull it up close, you see that there's only a few stitches of a darker color in his lips, and I think that is just beautiful charting. And yeah, so technically I did work on this for 500 stitches. It got 504, but most of those stitches were in her skin, and so there were 4 tiny stitches for each stitch. So that's probably why my total stitch count for the week was a little bit lower this week, but if I had counted each individual stitch, it would have been much higher. So once I finished her, then I jumped back over here to his sort of green jacket. And up here, let me see if I can get this closer for you. Up here in his shoulder pads, there is 2 colors of Krynic as well as some browns in there to form like the shoulder area, which really gives a beautiful sort of shine to this area. So I think there's some more Krynic down here in his jacket and other places, and I'm definitely excited to kind of find out where that goes. And it just adds, in person, it adds a really nice little sparkle to his jacket there. So worked kind of in that area and have some parked threads for the next time. But yeah, I'm super happy with where I got to on this. I'm not done the 1/1 skin, because her hand is over here and then her other hand comes down here. So I've still got more to go, but this felt really good to get this completed. And now that their faces are in, I love it. So this is stitched on a 32 count apple blossom by Witchelt. That is the called for fabric that I was lucky enough to be gifted by a viewer. And I'm stitching it 2/2 with all the DMC, all the called for threads. And yeah, that is The Kiss by Mirabilia. Next up on the wheel, I spun Stack of Pancakes. This is by SammyStitchesStore on Etsy. I'll put a picture in here of what it's going to look like in the end. And I know a lot of you have been missing this piece. It was not one that I took down to Florida, but I was really happy to get back to it. So I'll put a picture here of where I was when I started it. And I was able to add 509 stitches, and that puts me at 56.65% of the piece. And let's go ahead. Now, you're going to have to excuse me for all of the parked threads because I did switch back to my diagonal method, and I will talk about that here in a little bit, but there are a lot of parked threads. So here is where I got to. So what I worked on this time was I basically brought this diagonal all the way down to the bottom here, and then I came back up here and started this diagonal that I'm currently working on. So all these parked threads will go into this diagonal, and all of these parked threads are waiting for the next one. But I really am liking how this looks. Now that we are a little further into the pancake, you can actually see here's 1 pancake, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So we've got a 5 stack of pancakes, and it's fun to actually see them sort of coming together when you pull it back and look at it. It looks delicious. Every time I can't get over that syrup dripping off the pancake at the top. But this section over here is so confetti heavy. I don't know if it's just the charting in this pattern or if it's what actually was needed to sort of get this dripping syrup effect over here. It really looks good when you pull it back because you can kind of see these globs of syrup that are dripping, which is fun, but so much confetti. And that's why I switched back to the diagonal method, because I just needed some way to kind of control that. And yeah, that seemed to work. Now, with my diagonal method, I know the last time I spoke, and you can still see it if you know where to look for it, but there is a diagonal line that I have going right here, and that is because of my tension. So instead of doing a strict diagonal, I'm doing more of like a stair-step diagonal. I don't know how well you can see it in these here, but you can kind of see that I'm kind of coming up 1 over 2, up 1 over 2, the whole way up to the top, and just making, actually up 2 over 2. But making sort of a stair-step effect. And I'm hoping that what that will do is since there won't be a direct line the whole way across, it's kind of staggered, that will alleviate the line issue I'm having. And then it's also not a straight horizontal or straight vertical line, the other way around, but you get it. So I'm hoping that will avoid any more lines in the piece. But really, really enjoying this. It was really fun to work on the diagonal, and I think definitely the next time I pull it out, I'll be able to finish the diagonal here, and then we'll jump back up to the top and we'll start the next one. So This is stitched on a, ooh, what is this stitched on? Let me look real quick because I always forget if this is an 18 count or if this is a 20 count. I believe it's 20 count, but I want to make sure. So hold on one second. Yeah, so this is a 20 count black Ada, and I am stitching it with 2 strands of DMC. So it is very tight, and that makes it difficult to stitch on sometimes because not only is it harder to see the smaller holes because it is black Ada, but then you're stitching with 2 strands of thread with each X, so that there's a lot of floss going through those holes. But the coverage I really like. I wanted this to be bold and sort of really stand out on the black, and I didn't want any of the black or much of the black to show through in the piece, and I think it's definitely achieving that. So it's working, but it's a little tough to stitch on. I will go ahead and show you my back here just because full coverage backs are always fun to see and a little messy, but yeah, can definitely see where I started the diagonal over here, and it's pretty full and kind of, yeah, and then over here I did cross country. But anyway, so that is a stack of pancakes. I'm happy to be over 55% done. And the last whip I've got to share for you is the last spin that I did on the wheel, and that was for Lacapati. And this is from Bella Filipina. Here is what she's going to look like in the end. This was really fun to pull her back out, and this was probably some of the easiest stitching that I had for Mania 500 in this week because there were some difficult ones, with the skin being one over one in the Mirabilia, and then the pancakes just not being the easiest stitch to work on. But Lakapati was a joy. So here is a picture of where I was when I started, and here is where I'm at now. So you might not see too much advancement because it was only 519 stitches, but I worked on bringing this like orange and yellow color down in her dress here, so that is all filled in now, and that's why it was such easy stitching, because it was just blocks of color. You follow the dress, you follow the color, and just made it go very quickly, but it was so enjoyable to stitch on. I absolutely love this piece. It is stitched on a 32 count haystack Lugana by Fiberlicious Yummy Fibers, and I'm using all the called for DMC and floss. And yeah, really excited to keep going on this. I'm stitching it from a paper pattern, so I don't have any percentages or anything like that, but yeah, I'm happy with my progress. Now her dress and the bottom section of this piece does get really full, and there's some big baskets on either side, so I am not nearing a finish, but definitely happy with where I am on her. So that was Lakapati. And those are my whips. Those are my works in progress for the week. So that was what I got worked on. Now let's jump into plans. And my plans for the week are kind of the same. I'm going to keep stitching Fruits of Plenty for #whip-into-shape. And I'm also going to continue Mania 500. And because I wanted to share with you a little sneak peek of what's coming, I thought I would share what was called for next on Mania 500, and that was Woodland Enchantress. So this is a kit from Dimensions. That is what she's going to look like in the end, which is exciting. And she was called next for 500 stitches. So this is my starting point for her. If I can get her unraveled here. Okay, so the last time I worked on her, I was working on this blue sky, just bringing it over as far as I can. I think this is not quite the edge. I think I have a little bit further to go, and then I'll have reached the corner. But once I got all of this filled in the sky here, I decided, you know what? I'm tired of that. I want to work on her. So I started on her hair the last time that I pulled her out. So where will I go this time with 500 stitches? I don't know. 500 stitches will go very quickly in the background because it's all half stitches. So I could do that to kind of get through it pretty quickly. Or I might also work more on her face there. I'm not sure. But you will see that the next time. So that is definitely going to come out. And then I'm going to keep spinning my wheel. I'm going to keep rotating through my projects and see how many more of them we can get. Now, for WhipGo, you know that I still have one WhipGo call left for the month, and that is Gaia, the Earth Goddess. I believe I've got to put in 1,800 stitches on her for the month. And since we have about a month or a week and a half left in May, I'm going to continue to sort of let the Mania 500 wheel dictate what I'm stitching on. But if I come back to you next Tuesday and it still has not called Gaia, I think I'm just going to make the decision that Gaia will come out and then work on her until that goal is completed so that WhipGo gets done. But we'll see. Hopefully she'll get called this week just organically, and that would be a lot of fun, but time will tell. And yeah, I think those are my only plans. So again, thank you so much if you're joining into Whip Into Shape. It's been really great seeing your progress and seeing what projects you're working on. I cannot wait until we get further along in this challenge. As the miles start ramping up, the stitches will too, and we'll really see some progress on our projects that we chose. And then hopefully we can put it together a little video at the very end of everyone's kind of starts and finishes and see where we get to. But yeah, so thank you for joining in with that, and thanks for spending a little bit of time with me today. I really appreciate it. Keep running if you're a runner, always keep stitching, and be kind to whoever you meet on your journey. Bye for now, until the next stitch. And don't worry, we didn't forget about Winston. He was just napping through the entire filming of the Flosstube today, but I wanted to make sure he said a quick hello and said hi. You want to say hi to the people? Say hi. But he's still here, he's doing good, and yeah, thanks for watching.